the most people, when they think about what they want, are spending as much or more time thinking about what they don't want. So I asked a friend, I said, what do you want in your life now? She says, oh, I want to move to a new apartment. I said, well, tell me about that. Okay, that's a clear desire. I want a new apartment. That's a clear, good desire. Well, what do you want? She says, well, I want a place that doesn't have a lot of traffic noise. And I want a place that doesn't have cockroaches or ants. And I want to have a place where I don't have to hear the neighbors all the time. And I want to have a place where they don't tell me I can't have my cat. And I want a place that doesn't have this and this. And I want to make sure the roof doesn't leak. I mean, now, what's the picture in your mind of all the things you don't want? What's the picture in your mind of what you want? It isn't even there. When you tell a child, don't run in the street, what is the picture the child thinks of? When you say, don't run in the street, what's the picture? The picture is running in the street. When you say, just say no to drugs, what are you saying? You're saying, just say drugs. Because that's the only picture that appears in the mind. And if I say, don't think about a green tortoise, I mean, it's the only thought at that particular moment. You cannot exclude anything by thinking about it. You cannot push against something you don't want without vibrationally including it into your vibration. And so the more people protest and yell, no, 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 the more they're vibrationally including these things into their space emotionally, and they're entraining vibrationally to that vibration. So when you have groups yelling, I don't want this, I don't want that, you're bad, you're wrong, you're terrible, vibrationally they're increasing their experience of that in their life. Now, you may notice that your life tends to feel normal. Everybody's life tends to feel normal. And everybody's beliefs seem to be true for them. But the definition of a stupid belief, in my opinion, is a belief that's very different than the one that I believe. And everybody seems to know that's true. But because we tend to attract experiences to ourselves that feel normal, based on the beliefs and the attitudes and the thoughts and the feelings which generate the choices and decisions. We tend to attract experiences that feel ordinary to ourselves. And because of that, everybody knows that their beliefs are true, because they keep showing themselves to be true over and over again, regardless of what those beliefs are. And what we see is that when you hold an emotional space, the reality tends to entrain to that vibration. And you tend to pull into yourself those experiences that are similar to the thoughts that you've been having. Now, when people pray, there have been studies on prayer that show there's two basic kinds of prayer. And one is very ineffective and one is very effective. When the prayer sounds something to the effect of, oh Lord, please help my brother-in-law stop being such a son of a bitch. That has been very ineffective. Get him to stop beating my wife and get him to stop drinking so much and get him to stop being so rude. And that doesn't work, because the vibration you're holding is not of love and it's not of healing. When people pray for the highest good and for the best and for the most positive outcome, then they seem to get really fabulous and wonderful experiences. Now, there's a friend of mine who was wanting to have an extra $30,000 in her life because she wanted to be able to, well, it was time for her and her husband to separate, and she needed extra money. So she did this pretend thing. She pretended she actually had it. She wanted to buy her husband out of the house, which is what they agreed on. She needed this, and she's never seen that kind of money in her life. So she's just holding this emotional space, imagining she already has the money, imagining she's already there, feeling the joy, feeling the relief, feeling the gratitude. And as she walks down the street, she's thinking, I could buy that. I could buy that. I got $30,000 in the bank. And she's really letting herself totally live it. Well, nothing happened. Now, most people at this point would just get so discouraged and upset that they tried this stupid thing and it didn't work. And she just kind of said, well, she'd look up at the universe and she'd look up at the sky and say, hey, look, I live in a time-space reality here. Come on, let's get with it. Anyway, she continued the program and just kept holding the space, knowing I have $30,000, and feeling the relief and feeling that this is who she is in a person who has this kind of money. And then one day, a few months later, she got a call from one of her friends who said, listen, you must never reveal my identity, but I just won the California State Lottery. I won $7 million. And he said, it would be my delight to give you the $30,000 you're asking for. And he said, but wait a second, since part of your agreement is your husband empties out the bank account, why don't I give you another $5,000 to just get you started? So she got $35,000. There's a woman named Esther Hicks who works with Abraham, and she was very upset because there wasn't enough rain where she lived in Boerne, Texas. In fact, they were having a terrible drought. And when she watched TV, the weatherman said, well, because of the high pressure and this and that, it's going to be at least 6 months before we might see the first drop of rain. Meanwhile, the water police were passing new rules and saying that you're going to have to water your garden only on this day and this day for only this much time. And she had this huge garden with thousands and thousands of dollars worth of plants and all these different sprinkler systems put in, and then nobody knew how the different timers worked on all the sprinkler systems, and some were computer and some were mechanical. And the idea of her going away, teaching seminars, and coming back to a brown garden, or the idea of her neighbors telling the police that she's been watering the garden on the wrong day, and a warrant for her arrest awaiting her when she came back from teaching seminars, were such horrible ideas. She decided that both of these were absolutely unacceptable realities. So what she did was she decided to open herself up to the idea of having it rain. So she told her husband, she said, honey, I'm going to go outside and make it rain. So he said, that's a very good idea. And she walked outside, sat on the porch, and she was so angry about the drought and the predicament that she was in. It took her about 20 or 30 minutes to find her first positive emotion about rain, to find her first positive feeling about rain. And finally she, after 20 or 30 minutes of looking, she finally found a place within herself that felt completely free and easy. And she thought, you know, I love the smell of rain when it first comes down. And so she spent a minute or two just relishing that beautiful thought. I just love that. And I love the sound of the rain when it comes down. And I love the way my plants look when it's been dry and now they're getting the water that they need. I love the way they look after the rain. And she just thought, I love the sound of the rain on the roof. She just loved all the feelings of love that she had around rain. Very sensual, pleasurable feelings about it. And she spent about 5 minutes holding that space of the beauty and the wonder of rain. The very next day, a cloud formed over Boerne, Texas. And it poured rain hour after hour after hour, and it completely filled up her aquifers. And she didn't need to deal with the drought anymore. The weatherman came on that night and said, well, this is an anomaly. We have a name for it in the weather business, some such word, for how a cloud forms out of nothing, and then just poured rain all day on Boerne, Texas. And it's a very strange anomaly, but these things do happen occasionally, and just brushed it off.